So for people who don't know me, I'm Dave Kibby. I am a coach. Most of my work is with leaders in the area of resilience and resilience training. But in truth, what I do is awakening. It can be labeled as many things, but it's awakening people to their true nature and then clearing. Awakening is pretty easy. It's pretty easy to have someone see their true nature. The inverted commas tricky bit, skillful bit, is having people clear up their misunderstandings, conditioning, or whatever, so they can live their most skillful life. It's a paradox, right? So if someone's listening to this who's having a hard time, then the obvious thing, like it was the same for me, the obvious thing you want when it's like that is you want out of the feeling. That's the thing you want. It's like, I want this to stop. I can't go on. And sometimes that can't go on can be very dark and like properly mean I can't go on. Had that, done that one too. So I know that can seem compelling, like to get away from it. But there's a quieter place in you that actually knows that you can't get away from it, actually. That it is what it is in this moment. And it's not even, I hear a lot of people say this, that it will pass. The truth is that all feeling is ebbing and flowing. So waiting for it to pass is actually part of the same lie. So what's changed, and I could identify points, I don't know whether they're that useful, but I could. What's changed is it's simple, it's my understanding of what's going on consciously. See, I think unconsciously we've got this already, and we have got it already because actually we just have it's within the system. But to consciously realize it, and for me it's not just like a one time. It's like you become consciously aware of it again and again and again and again and again. Like I woke up to something again this morning. I was like, oh yeah, I see where that pattern comes from. Oh, that's interesting. And I kind of think of that as like a bit more skillful living. It's not really that there is, no, it's not true. There is a sense of trying to get out of the fug because I just prefer pleasure, quite honestly, there it is. But so that it would be a lie to say otherwise. But there's that waking up to the fact that what's going on for you is that you're having experiences in the moment. That's what's happening. It's an experience. That's what you're having, an experience of life. And when it gets very foggy and very grainy and whatever, you really feel like you're the only one. There's intense suffering present. Intense suffering, and it's just yuck. It's horrible. I don't know anybody who doesn't want to get out of it. Occasionally I get a kick out of it, but mostly it's just like, oh, get lost. So what's changed, and there are sort of markers I could draw, has been understanding, conscious understanding of what's going on. That's what's me.
And how did you come to that understanding?
There seem to have been things that, and again, these are sort of stories. So I'm conscious that somebody might try and replicate them, thinking that I have a root, and that's woolly. It's just not true. So that's hard, because when you want out of something, you want someone to give the answer. You want to go and see someone and they tell you, do this, take this, all be better now. The problem is if you've done that over a period of time. So yeah, so this, I can share one story. This is something that had happened for me. I can't remember why, but like without realizing, I picked up the idea that my happiness or well-being, you might call it, or even I guess like mental stability or health, was going to be created by my circumstances, like my job, my family, my home, everything being like on a level playing field. What I'd missed, of course, was my actual experience of life, which is that there's very rarely a level playing field in anything. It can appear like it for just long enough to give you a sense that it exists. But actually, if you look at it, it's like there's nearly always something here, there, and everywhere flying around. But I picked up that coding at quite an extreme level. So I remember one year I'd been working really, really hard in my job, like a lot of people do, 14, 15-hour days, over big periods of time. So I was probably tired, not eating great, all that kind of stuff. And I swapped my car for a kind of car that I really wanted, because I thought that would cheer me up. You know, and you know, for a car, replace new pair of shoes, handbag, trainers, pack of fags, you know, whatever, like anything that you think will make you feel better. So I got this car and got in it and you know, put the hood down, because I'd always dreamt of having a soft top car, and drove around. And within like 10 minutes, I was irritated at how crap the steering was. and like, this is quite a few years ago, but something there hit me. It was just like, it's ridiculous. You wanted this bloody car since you were about 5. And you've got it. And I used it as a weapon against myself, you know? Have you ever done that? When you then go, oh God, you're not even satisfied with that. Like, what is your problem? Like there's 2 of you in here, like you're talking to someone else. What is your problem? Who the hell is the your? There's only me here, you know? What is your problem? You should sort you out. How do I sort me out? There's only me here, you know? But like, you know, but that's what goes on, isn't it? Like, and then you tell yourself the crap stories about everything bad you've ever done in the world, and like, so you're a bad person, and then that descends into you're a bad parent, husband, lover, boss. It descends so quickly. It's like, it's amazing. And so there were things like that just, I guess what they were doing was that they were flushing to the surface, bringing to consciousness the fact that there was a model of reality that I was using. I didn't even know I was using it. Like, I've been using gravity for years. I don't know about you, but like, for a long time I was using it without really knowing what it was. And so this model of reality of I'll be okay when circumstances are right, or my mindset is right. I mean, that's like a circumstance as well. We try and get in the right thinking space. I need to be positive and upbeat and only hang out with positive people. You ever spent time with a lot of positive people? It's bloody knackering. They're a draining bunch, honestly. Try so hard. That's another category of humans I've dismissed in this period. Excellent. I'm doing really well. There'll be no one left by the end of it. No friends whatsoever. But it's like, you know, everything's like, yeah, it's all great. And you look at them and you go, it isn't great. You're making it up. Just admit it's crap. It's fine to be crap. So there was all these like paradoxes going on, and I think they were the true self beyond the story of self that's so compelling. Mine's really compelling. I love it. You can tell. I'm not going to deny it. But the true story of the one thing that's going on, that, like, if you like, that the spirit of you is starting to kick up and make itself visible to you, and that's really exciting. And it was the other day when my mood started to go, you know, I can see my family putting on their helmets. Like, oh God, here we go, you know. Because like one of the great lies is that as you become more awakened, if you're like more spiritually awakened, then all of this vanishes. And I'm like, good luck with that. You're like, why? You think there ain't going to be temper here? Ooh, no. Sorry, there's conditioning, genetics. There's all sorts of stuff to contend with. I catch myself in fits of temper that I watched my dad do when I was young. So there's still tons of conditioning here, although you do catch it sometimes more quickly. So what was I saying? Yeah, I was sliding into whatever, and just for a fleeting moment, and it didn't last long, because I was just crossed, I was grumpy. But there was a real sense of beauty. Now, I don't know whether you've had this, but I know some of the people watching it will. Have you ever cried to the point where it's beautiful? You've been so sad, and actually there's this weird, almost like divide. It's almost like you can see yourself in a picture where you're sobbing. This occurred for me when my dad died some years back. And it didn't occur for about 4 or 5 months afterwards, but I was like messy, properly like uncontrollable. And it was almost like there was a release in that. And it was like, wow, this is beautiful. I mean, it's horrible on the one hand, but it's beautiful. And a lot of people I've spoken to who've struggled have had that experience. There's apparent disparity between what's going on bodily, release of energy in whatever form, whatever, and actually a deeper appreciation for the beauty of the expression. Now, if you've never come across any of this, no one's ever told you any of this, which is the case for most of us. We're bumbling through life, trying hard, doing what we can. No one's ever introduced us to what's going on, the principles behind it, how it's the same for all of us. And it varies because we are separate. I mean, yes, it's easy to go, we're all one, but we're not. There's a you over there, and there's a me here. There's character. We look different. You know, we both look amazing. I think that's brilliant. But do you know what I mean? In different form, there's difference. So just sitting around going, yeah, it's all one, it's all one, it's all one, yeah. To some degree, that's useful, but clearly it's not. There's a life here. There's a mortgage to pay. There's people to help, like the stuff to do. There's the fabric of life to do. So that's exciting. What am I talking about? What was I talking about? This is how to get lost in stories, isn't it? See how compelling stories are. They just all sound right, true. Yeah. So I think I was talking about this apparent separation of seeing the beauty and experience. But like since you were this big, people have told you that bad moods are bad. You know, you're allowed to do it when you're a toddler. There's no self-help group for toddlers who cry a lot. No one sits around with toddlers going, yeah, did you cry yesterday? Yeah, I did. Yeah, me too. Shit, I don't know why. I need to go to a baby crying group or something. This crying thing is like, oh, that's only the parents freaking out because we don't get it. We've got too much conditioned view of how it should be. But in a toddler, you'll just see the natural ebb and flow of life through them. You know, and you hear people say this, life living through you. So I think all the time I'm coming back to this, like I didn't realize that I had a big misunderstanding built into how I was seeing the world. I had no idea. I was blind to it, like the vast majority of people. They don't know they've got a model of how reality works that they're relying on. It just happens they picked up the wrong model, just like I did. I imagine just like you did, and just like pretty much everyone else I've ever met did, until some point that model was tested. Oh, here's the point I was going to make. Yeah. So when I started to dip mood-wise a couple of days back, I started to realize and this will sound really crazy, what a gift these slightly tormenting feelings are. And that if you took away the fact that everybody tells you it's bad and you should get rid of it, and you stay with it for a bit, it sounds like the craziest thing if you're struggling. But if you actually stay in the feeling without attaching meaning to it, or without going, it's because of this or because of that or whatever, and you'll find you can, even if you're in the biggest glare of despond, you'll find that's possible. Just to suspend everything else that's going on and just stay with the feeling, you'll find beauty in that. And you'll actually find rest. You'll find messages in there for you, useful things for you. And I think part of the game you and I are in is helping people see the reality as the wise have been telling us for thousands of years. I just happen to think it became really, really cool and game on when someone like Sydney Banks saw it, because you're just such an ordinary dude.
Yeah.
like here's totally ordinary guy who saw through the dream, woke up to the dream, if you like, not really woke up out of it, but maybe he did, but woke up to the dream and was like, whoa, in you know, and that's why I think this is so important, and that's why I think we need to talk about mental health, because we're not talking about 20 years of therapy and this and that and the other. We're literally talking about a shift in understanding, which comes from awakeness. So it's awakeness, awakening, awakeness. You know, the Daveness is a story. It's a bunch of thoughts, conditioning, ideas, concept, and whatever. You know, to somebody I've never met, they won't see a Dave until they're introduced to a Dave, and then they'll start building a mental picture of a Dave. But to somebody else, I'm just another human. You know a bit of Dave, so you already know kind of, you know, what's going to go on, because we've spoken and you read posts and whatever, and so you know this could be some editing. Actually, I think there won't be that much this morning. It's quite surprising. So, but to somebody else, it's just like another unit, another human unit displaying human quality. And there's a beauty and a simplicity and a universality in that. Like that's what we're all in. It's the game we're all in. Now above that is this sort of like personal game. But the more we have people see the universal game, and the more they start to see that as an experiential reality, then things that traditionally would have taken years can vanish like that. Because ultimately, even in years, the true change is like that. There might be like talking, but the point of change is that instant. So like rather than 20 years, why not have it in 2 minutes?
That's one of the things that used to confuse me when I was working as I did all this training as a therapist, and when I was working as a therapist, some people got really brilliant, had really brilliant results. Just they got it in no time at all, and other people would be coming back week after week after week for years, and weren't getting anywhere at all. I was running a psychosexual clinic. I said to the psychotherapy consultant, look, I've got this girl, she's been coming back to me every week for 2 years, and she still is not able to consummate her marriage, right? And we've done everything, all the stuff that I've been taught to do, we've gone through, and she comes and she does the stuff, and she really does her best, and nothing's happening. And I said, well, what else can I do? What else? What is this about? And he said, oh, she's just not ready. And I'm like, great. That's really helpful. And I know that's not true, because I had got divorced like 2 years before, and I had been going to therapy myself for 2 years every week, and trying to get somewhere and doing this stuff, and I wasn't any different either, and I couldn't see anything any different. So I was like, I know that's not true. I know she, she's looking for something. And it's funny, isn't it, how, as you say, it doesn't take 2 years. When you do see it, it's just a misunderstanding. It's there in no time at all.
Here's the amazing thing. I love that story, actually. It reminded me I should shut up more. I loved it, what you just said at the end there, right? Because what we can't see until we become consciously aware of it is that process you've just described is going on all the time for us, where we think something is true and then we realize it isn't, and we move on. Like all the time. It's the natural clearing function of the mind. Now, for little things, people are like, yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I thought it was, like you can. I was trying to think of a good story or a good example. You can. So sometimes I go to bed at night and look across the hallway and think, oh, I've left the light on. Get up and realize it's the moon.
Yeah.
So there's like a misunderstanding that's corrected by new data coming in. So it's a perfectly normal, natural functionality of the mind, of the human system. But what we forget is that can be applied to everything and is applicable to everything. But we've got rules without realizing that we've got rules around the things that can apply to and the things that can't apply to. Now, these rules, the thing that kept me moving, so we talked a lot about that this morning, about this impetus of looking and whatever, which came from, within. I tried to stop, but couldn't. I just found I was drawn back to it all the time, was what's really going on here? What's at the root of this? And it looks to me like the root of this, the thing that makes it sticky, is this character that we call me, this concept of a separate self, which we can't see is in our thoughts, who is the one to whom all these things are happening. And that the more that the sticky problem relates to that me, the tougher it seems to be for that natural clearing process to do its job. Now, in little ones, back to the example of kids, they don't have this strong sense of me or separate identity or whatever. They just don't. It's not formed yet. And so the natural clearing process, so kids will be like, do you want a polo? Like that. But no one's looking at a youngster going, whoa, of like a major disorder, that is, oh, that's a problem for you to deal with. It's normal. We all know that's normal, right? Like kids' moods shift like that. But as we go through life, because we've got lots of conceptual ideas about how it looks, which are built on a misunderstanding. Let's not forget that bit. Like they're built on the idea that reality comes this way when it comes that way. So we're projectors, not taking a still and interpreting. This is a projection. We're all seeing. That's amazing to come back to that. So knowing that clearing system, like looking at something and going, oh, I've left the light on. That's the data that's available in the projection, seeing the light, moving, realizing, oh no, it's the moon, it's full moon tonight. Oh, no light to switch off. Nothing to do here. Back into bed and sleep again, right? Now, once you've realized it, chances are that if it occurs next, so now when I see, have I left a light on, it dawns on me, oh, I wonder if it's the moon. So that understanding upgrades the system. Now that's built for every situation, right? But this character called me likes to fiddle in that because it believes there are things that are true for me. Forgetting that me is a made-up character. It doesn't really exist outside of thought. It's a nonsense. And that can, like, if somebody's never heard this before, what do you mean it doesn't exist? Of course it exists, because we equate me to the body, the thing that appears to be in time. So we have a character in thought that corresponds to something in time. And it's that struggles. And the more you weed that out, you'll find the struggle starts to dissipate until eventually there's really very little struggle. The moods and stuff come and go, the conditioning is there, visible, not visible. But the suffering starts to die because there's no one here to suffer. It's just experience, like you were when you were little. And this is the beauty of this sharing, is that you're only reminding people of how it used to be. It's how we all started out in life. No one started out suffering psychologically. It just didn't. There aren't psychologically suffering babies. It just doesn't exist. It's something we've had to learn.
Crazy, isn't it, to learn to suffer?
It's pants, isn't it? Yeah.